Students received an email about USC's culture of consent. We spoke to sexual assault survivors who questions the way the Title IX office handled her case.
The U.S. Border Patrol is criticized for the way it's dealing with Haitian immigrants. The director of USC's immigration clinic weighs in.
And we get a sneak peek at the new Academy of Motion Pictures Museum.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Obviously, we still have a ton of victims every year and a ton of students who are really struggling.
A sexual assault survivor is critical of USC and the Title IX office response to assault cases like hers. Good evening, I'm Gabriella Rudy.
And I'm Marilyn. The Title IX office sent out an email yesterday about the consent across USC. We talked to a sexual assault survivor about her feelings on the email and why she doesn't feel heard.
The director of Title IX literally sat down with me and said, so if you want to pursue an investigation, you're going to have to show all of your evidence. That means showing your bloody clothing. Everything's going to be in a book that you and him are going to be able to walk in and see, and there's going to be a student jury. And then she told me that his likelihood of anything happening to him was very small because he's going to be graduating next year. So I probably shouldn't pursue an investigation anyway.
USC Student Affairs and Title IX issued a letter to students about combating sexual assault and building a culture of consent, saying, quote, "Every member of our USC student community is expected to understand that clearly obtaining consent in relationships and intimate encounters is the norm." Survivors say that sending out emails and having students complete modules on sexual assault are not enough to make students understand the importance of consent. Instead, they suggest that Student Affairs and Title IX take the time to inform students of the dangers of assault and the resources available. Currently, USC offers relationship and sexual violence prevention services that provide support for survivors and resources for reports regarding harassment at no cost to students. All services are confidential.
The U.S. attempted to expel 12,000 Haitian migrants from a camp in Texas. Recent footage from the event of patrol officers abusing Haitians has sparked criticism from some human rights groups. Photos and videos taken at the U.S.-Mexico border in Del Rio show CBP agents on horseback using reins as whips to block Haitians from entering the U.S. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer deemed the actions at the border completely unacceptable.
Images of Haitian migrants being hit with whips and other forms of physical violence is completely unacceptable. This behavior must be addressed, and we must provide accountability. The images turn your stomach. It must be stopped, this kind of violence.
What we're seeing in terms of what's going on in Del Rio, Texas, and the corralling of the Haitians and the deploying of the Border Patrol agents on horsebacks and the whipping, whether they're whips or not whips, is something that would not happen to a lot of other people, even if they were illegal border crossers, if they were not black.
In Texas, nonprofit organizations like Houston Haitians United are working with local officials to send relief to the border. In a statement to Annenberg Media, a member of Haitians United said, quote, "It is essential to bring these types of occurrences to the forefront," end quote. Social media users are promoting the hashtag Haitian Lives Matter to bring attention to the reported abuse.
Encouraging news today about the single-dose Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. The company says a second shot provides a high level of protection. The drug maker says its booster shot is 94% effective when given 2 months after the first dose. At 6 months, the booster provides a significant increase in antibodies. We talked to students who had the first dose of J&J.
So I would have had to do 2 shots either then or 2 shots now, and I'm really okay with a booster because that's typically what you do with like the flu shot every year, so it's not new.
I originally decided to get it because it was only 1 shot and I didn't want to have to wait for both, and I also didn't want to risk forgetting to get a second shot. I study international relations, and so a big issue in the field right now is that a lot of countries don't have any shots at all. They don't have first shots, and then Americans are getting third shots.
Health officials say they need more data on the Johnson & Johnson booster shot before they can recommend it to the American public for mass distribution.
Another city councilman is setting his sights on becoming the next mayor of Los Angeles. 1 year after being sworn into Council District 14, Kevin de León is joining the 2022 race.
Turning big ideas into bold action is what leadership is all about.
De León is focusing on tackling the homelessness crisis. He says every LA resident should have a place where they can call home. He also says every neighborhood deserves safe streets, clean sidewalks, and clean air, and is running on a plan to have 25,000 new units of housing by 2025. De León was born and raised in LA. He graduated from Pitzer College with a bachelor's in education policy. His political career began in 2006 in the California State Assembly, where he served from 2006 to 2010. He was also president pro tempore of the State Senate from 2010 to 2018. The director of USC's Schwarzenegger Institute says León is the best candidate for the job.
I don't think anybody's done more in Los Angeles to fight homelessness than Kevin de León. He's already built 9,000 homelessness housing units for homeless people in CD 14. That's more than any other city council member. So I think he has tremendous credibility, and I think the voters are going to respect that.
De León represents the predominantly Latino neighborhoods of Boyle Heights and El Sereno. He assumed office after Jose Huizar was charged in a federal investigation into bribery and corruption. De León will be joining some other notable candidates. They include City Council member Joe Buscaino, City Attorney Mike Feuer, and USC alum and businesswoman Jessica Lal. Buscaino and Feuer have both raised nearly $1 million for their campaigns.
The Los Angeles City Council voted today in favor of having the Department of Water and Power take part in the Light Up Navajo program. This goal is to help bring power, water, and internet to all citizens of the Navajo Nation. Los Angeles will be joining Sacramento as the second city in California to participate in the program. The new Academy Museum of Motion Pictures opens in Los Angeles next week on September 30th. The museum will be the largest institution in the country devoted to exploring the art and science of movies. It will be immersive and dynamic in telling the many stories of movie, art, technology, artists, filmmaking, and social impact. The museum's director and president Bill Carmer hopes fans will be inspired.
We want great moments of discovery. We want people to see films and film artists they know and love, but we also want them to learn about movies, craft areas, artists, complicated histories. We want moments of discovery. We want people leaving thinking, I knew I loved movies, but I didn't know about this.
The museum took over 10 years to complete for a variety of reasons, including the COVID-19 pandemic. For more information, visit academymuseum.org. The week-long Jewish holiday is here. We talked to students about what this means to them. Mid-Autumn is celebrated by many Asian countries around the world. Stay tuned to learn more about Mid-Autumn events happening around USC. Olivia Jade is one of the new contestants on Dancing with the Stars. We hear what students have to say.
Hey, Julia, are you ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's going to play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
Mm-hmm. With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
Recently, the western U.S. has averaged more than 1,900 earthquakes and 3,800 significant wildfires each year. So chances are there will be more of both near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
If you're walking around campus, you might have noticed several tent-like structures. These are actually huts called sukkahs. They are used to celebrate the week-long Jewish holiday, Sukkot. You can find these huts at different locations around campus all week, including the Village, outside Taper Hall, the Sigma Alpha Mu House, and at the Rohr Chabad Jewish Center. Outside of the tent, you'll see a poster with more details about the Jewish Festival of Joy.
We're celebrating our escape from Egypt, and so that's why we use a sukkah, and that basically represents what the Jews had to use when they slept under it and ate under it for 40 years. I love it. I think it makes you feel at home, and it's great because then a lot of non-Jewish people learn about the holiday, and other Jewish people feel, at home at USC.
You can follow the Chabad group on Instagram and Facebook for future events, or pick up the flyers around campus for a list of ways you can celebrate the Jewish holiday.
Today is the Mid-Autumn Festival, which originated in China and is also celebrated by many Asian countries. It is the time when families reunite in China and gather for celebratory dinners under the harvest moon. They light paper lanterns and eat traditional moon cakes. In Chinatown, LA, almost all moon cakes were sold out this past weekend.
As an Asian American, I did not feel very attached to the festival growing up. I wasn't really sure about the meaning of the festival, actually. And as I've gotten older and tried to connect more with my culture, this festival has become increasingly important to me.
This festival is also celebrated in Korea. It is called Chuseok, a time for Thanksgiving.
Chuseok is, I think it's similar to Thanksgiving Day in America. So it is really traditional holiday, and like in the past they celebrate when they harvest the food, right?
Here at USC, the Chinese Students and Scholars Association has organized a Mid-Autumn Festival Fair this Friday night. There will be traditional Chinese games, and mooncakes will be awarded as prizes to the winners.
A former student laced up her dancing shoes and may have twirled right past a family crisis. Halee Anderson followed her moves last night.
Dancing with the Stars premiered with the usual fanfare and a bit of controversy. Former USC student Olivia Jade faced some judging, and not just for her hot salsa.
Dancing the salsa with her partner Val, it's Olivia Jade.
Her appearance caused quite the dust-up on social media, with some criticizing the influencer for taking advantage of her notoriety. The college admissions scandal that sent her parents to prison made her a household name. But far from being canceled, Olivia Jade might be on the road to rebranding herself. We asked some students what they think.
I do believe in cancel culture only when the person doesn't learn from the mistakes they made, and their parent was involved. So I don't know how much of a influence her parents were.
I think cancel culture, there's parts of it that are very exaggerated to the point where it just doesn't have an impact and it's just toxic. But I think there's truth in cancel culture as a foundation. I think we should be holding people accountable for stuff that they say and stuff that they do.
Host of the show, Tyra Banks, applauded Olivia Jade's bravery, saying if people are talking about you, you are famous. I guess the little controversy's always good for business. I'm going to take you to weather now.
With that, we are going to be transitioning to weather in the studio, and I, for one, am extremely excited to hear this, considering the insane heat that we've all been experiencing here. So, Arath, take it away.
Thanks, Gabby. Great work. It seems like we're going to have a nice week leading up to the game on the weekend against Oregon. Now, getting right into our current conditions. We're looking at 87 degrees. Of course, if you decide to go out at the moment, it's important to note that it might feel a little humid due to the 34% humidity that we have going on. Moving right into our 5-day forecast with a high of 93 degrees. We start with a warm Wednesday. From Thursday to Sunday, we actually are going to see a shift of temperatures going from low 80s to high 70s. Clouds will be present on the weekend. Saturday having a low possibility of rain, as you can see in the image. And then just to wrap it up, the lows will be hovering around the 60 degrees. That's enough of me. Skyler, what do you have for me?
All right. USC football earned a handful of awards after a strong showing at Washington State. But will this be the start of a new era? The Dodgers look to steal first place in the National League season ending this week.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good stir. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back. I'm Skyler Trepel reporting for ATVN, and the question on everyone's mind after this weekend is whether this could be the start of a new era. First, let's look at this week's award winners. The Trojans made so much noise on the offensive side of the ball this weekend, you might have forgotten how stellar their defense was. Drake Jackson won the Pac-12 Defensive Lineman of the Week award after recording a sack, forced fumble, and season-high 4 tackles. The next Trojan triumph comes from sophomore wide receiver Gary Bryant Jr., making the Paul Hornung Award honor roll list for his versatility. Bryant Jr. had himself quite a day with 62 yards on kickoff returns and pulled off a deep ball reception for a 38-yard touchdown. Who else but Jackson Dart cleaned up this weekend's awards? He won the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, Pac-12 Freshman of the Week, and Rose Bowl Game Pac-12 Player of the Week in his NCAA debut. He remained humble after Saturday's win, putting the spotlight on his teammates.
Yeah, I would say that this week has kind of been a roller coaster. I'm just super excited, and I'm super fortunate to be around a group of guys and a group of coaches who, show a ton of resiliency and have a lot of confidence in one another. And like Coach said, our main goal is, we're going to face some adversity, but we got to go 1-0, and we got to attack each day, each moment, and win that moment. And so we all locked in, locked arms, and we all have each other, so that's all that matters.
Dart came ready to play on Saturday as he threw for 391 yards and 4 touchdowns in his debut. He was throwing darts all afternoon on the way to breaking JT Daniels' record for most yards thrown in a USC debut by over 100 yards. Let's toss it to Presley Baker to see if this is indeed the start of a new era.
Thanks, Skyler. After Jackson Dart's outstanding performance against Washington State, USC fans want to know who will be quarterbacking for the Trojans heading into the home game versus Oregon State. First-string quarterback Kedon Slovis earned his starting position back in 2019, filling in for an injured JT Daniels. That season, Slovis went on to throw for over 3,000 yards, and Slovis has been USC's quarterback ever since. But will he still be first string come Saturday night? Jackson Dart had a very impressive game with 391 yards and a 65.2% completion rate. But when Keaton was a freshman in his first full game that he actually played, he threw for 377 yards with an 84.8% completion rate, which those are very similar numbers, and especially both as true freshmen, they are very impressive.
Jackson right now, he's day to day, and we're going to save Jackson from himself a little bit. And you got a chance to see, even though he was dinged up in that game, you know, he still battled and played the whole game. So, you know, the quarterback competition will continue.
Yeah, so Skyler, obviously this is a very hot topic. What do you think about who should play Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that this weekend showed a lot, and it's not so much about who should play as much as how can you stop Jackson Dart from playing at this point. At this point, you see this happen in the NFL all the time. You see Tom Brady come in for Drew Bledsoe years ago and get the starting job with Bledsoe injured as the veteran quarterback. You saw it with Dak Prescott and Tony Romo on the Dallas Cowboys, and you saw it with Kedon Slovis doing the same thing to JT Daniels when he got injured. So yes, Kedon Slovis might get Kedon Slovis as Jackson Dart gets the start.
I think that those two scenarios that you named last about JT and Kedon, that he got Kedon Slovis, could be a bit of a stretch considering JT's injury was season ending, at least, obviously not career ending as he's playing in Georgia right now. But Kedon came in and was prepared to take on the rest of the season, whereas Jackson Dart's not necessarily in the same position. Kedon is back at practice. He was walking around on the sidelines during the rest of the game. I think that you have an interesting situation here. You have a freshman trying to take a junior spot, and I know if I were that junior, that would light a fire under me, and I would not want that freshman to take my spot, which I'm sure Kedon is feeling the same way. But I think you give Kedon one more chance to prove that he is just as good, if not better, than Jackson Dart, and then you go from there.
You know, it's really interesting, and Kedon Slovis deserves that chance, Presley. I do agree with you. However, this is just a situation in which he already won. So let's hear who is going to be starting between the two and what your thoughts are, Presley.
Yes, I'm excited to hear too, but let's switch to another sport. So in baseball news, the LA Dodgers play the Colorado Rockies tonight at Coors Field in Denver. The Dodgers have a record of 96 wins and 54 losses going into the National League West matchup, and they are currently second overall in both the NL West and the MLB. With 3 games left in their season, the Dodgers are just one game behind division rivals, the San Francisco Giants. Tonight's game against the Rockies will be an important game to win, as the Dodgers are looking to clinch the division ahead of MLB playoffs. The last time the Dodgers faced the Rockies, they lost 5-0, with the Rockies coming off of a winning road trip and the Dodgers looking to win the division. Tonight's game should be a battle. And that's all we have today for sports. I'm Presley Baker. Thanks for watching.
Hip hop, don't stop. Coming up, we talk to USC's Hip Hop Dance Club about what it's like to return in-person rehearsals.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Jules, spot on this last one. There it is.
Keep going with it. Leo. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
From the University of Southern California, I'm Dan Toomey, and this is the Night Class Podcast.
From the New York Times, I'm Michael Bavaro. This is The Daily.
From the University of Southern California, I'm Dan Toomey. This is Night Class. Bum, bum, bum.
Just as ATVN transitioned back to live production this week, hip-hop dance teams on campus held their first in-person practices since March 2020. After spending almost 2 years conducting their practices online, USC hip-hop dance teams experienced a spike in prospective new members at their tryouts once the opportunity to dance in person was announced. We spoke to 2 dance team leaders about their excitement over the return to in-person practices and performances.
A lot of teams now actually have an incredibly high turnout rate because a lot of people wanted to dance but no one wanted to do it online. One of the teams I was on, I think people were in 11 different time zones or something, so just made it impossible to do anything.
So coming back to dance, I felt myself even better actually than what I was before. I was scared that I was going to be rusty, but I realized that I myself have grown over the past 2 years.
Unfortunately, there are no upcoming performances, but the dance group Nesquik will be releasing a video in the next couple of weeks, so definitely be on the lookout for that. So that happens to be our last package of the broadcast today. And before we go, I just wanted to mention that this is the first live in-person production that ATVN has produced since March 2020, and that is huge for us and for everybody at the Annenberg Media Center. Marilyn, what do you think about that?
It's exciting, it's amazing. I love being in studio, and I'm so happy to have everyone back here in studio. Everyone on the team's amazing. I mean, it's going to be a journey.
Yes, and I am so excited to continue working week after week with the whole team.
Agree, same here.
And with that, thank you for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Gabriella Rudy.
And I'm Marilyn Parra. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.